All right, test 1, 2, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
South
7, 8,
Point is
9,
also
10,
proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers. We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
John was the most incredible person I'd ever met. Aviation was John's love and passion. He was present as a Marine and present as a dad, as a husband. It was a normal, ordinary Wednesday for us. When I was picking up my daughter from daycare, my friend that I would carpool with mentioned that there was an aircraft that went down. In an instant, you know, your life does change. And you, especially having children, have to decide, how am I gonna do this? I got a message from a friend, and they said, there's this foundation called Tunnel to Towers. And they said on TV that they're gonna pay for your and John's mortgage. And it just felt like a frozen moment in time that I'd never forget. I'm so grateful for that.
By giving $11 a month, you're joining us on our mission to do good. Go to t2t.org. It only takes $11 a month to make a positive impact.
The field for the biggest derby of the season at Los Alamitos is set for Sunday, November 10th, the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Super Derby. The field is led by top qualifier BP Cartel Policy, as he looks for his third graded derby of the year. Plus champion filly Dark Enemy. She's going after her fourth Grade 1 win. Plus the undefeated Stanley Cartel, the outstanding Boardwalk, and the Grade 1 winner Let's Leave. It's a field of super sophomores. The Los Alamitos Super Derby, Sunday, November 10th.
The following is a Race Day Las Vegas presentation in association with Siraco Productions Limited on the Race Day Las Vegas Radio Network.
Live from the gaming capital of the world, time for Race Day Las Vegas, covering the sport of kings with a Las Vegas perspective. Now to the race desk with your host, Ralph Siraco.
From the backstretch to the turf club, at the race books and on the internet, to all horse players around the world, a good morning. Well, alrighty. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Race Day Las Vegas radio program. We come to you live and direct from the gaming capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, right here at the South Point Studios at the South Point Hotel Complex and Casino on Las Vegas Boulevard in your gaming capital and the South Point Studios streaming network at YouTube. We welcome you to the show. And, of course, all of our other platforms that include our anchor radio station, Sports Talk 1400 AM, 107.1 FM, and you can get the play-by-play of both the USC college football games and the Rams NFL football games right there at Sports Talk 1400 AM. And, of course, all of the other platforms we have, like our websites, racedaylasvegas.com, .vegas, .world, .global, got them all. And, of course, we take care of your iPhone and your Androids with the apps. Go to your app store. You can get the KSHP app to listen to us through the radio station. And, of course, the YouTube app, you can hear and watch us on the YouTube app as well, on your iPhone or Android, of course, anywhere you get your podcasting. We welcome you to the Race Day Show for this Wednesday as we kick off another week of racing, another week of covering the great sport of kings, Las Vegas style, from Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, it's been an interesting weekend. It's been an interesting last couple of days, that's for sure. A lot happened across the country since we last spoke, and certainly the Breeders' Cup had our handicappers had a few days. Excuse me. Our handicappers had a few days to kind of take a look and review of what happened at the Breeders' Cup, and certainly it'll give us their final thoughts on that, etc. We'll take a look at what's happening this week in racing around the country and give you the latest news and notes. One of those latest news and notes was a big event that happened a half a world away, and it was horse racing becomes a national holiday when it comes to the Melbourne Cup down in Australia, down under. The Melbourne Cup was run over our weekend, and the winner there was Knight's Choice. Of course, this was at the Flemington Racecourse. There were I think 24, 23 horses in the race, the Melbourne Cup. Everything stops in Australia on Melbourne Cup Day. It's a national holiday. And so Knight's Choice wins at odds of 91-1 in a big upset there, beating out Warp Speed in what they call a bob of a head. Warp Speed, of course, the Japanese horse. And in the third in the race was Okita Sushi. So the Australian big upsetter there beat the two Japanese horses that ran second and third. Knight's Choice, a big winner at a big price in the Melbourne Cup at Flemington over the weekend, our weekend, of course. Taking a look at the wagering for the month of October that just completed. The month of October, U.S. wagering was down 2.7% from last October, from comparing it to last October. $796.47 million bet, down 2.7%. 2,569 races versus 2,610 races from last year. And there were 8 weekends this year versus the 9 weekends in the month that fell last year. So we put that in perspective. But the overall racing in the U.S. was down a little bit. Of course, we were talking about those short fields, etc., and some cancellations along the way as well. Conversely, Belmont at Aqueduct that ended the Belmont at Aqueduct meet on Sunday. Now we go back to the Aqueduct winter meet when we start up this week. But the Belmont at Aqueduct meet at Aqueduct, their handle was up 18%. 18%, the handle up at Belmont at Aqueduct in the just concluded Belmont at Aqueduct meet. And, Jonathan Ardoon is going to love this one. HISA provisional suspensions have been lifted, I shouldn't say. They were listed, but they are lifted, okay? All this, the provisional suspensions that are out around the country right now, with either trainers, owners, or whatever, have been lifted because now they're taking a look at revamping the regulations and provisions for that. So all of the provisional, suspended people right now that are on their suspended list for provisional have been lifted. So those peeps can go back to work. Jeez. Church Paradise was supposed to run today, but they had delayed their start over the weekend. They were supposed to start on Breeders' Cup weekend, but they had problems with clearing the protocols for state and HISA regulations at the racetrack. And so they are expecting to get back into business on the 11th of November. Of course, that's Veterans Day, the 11th of November. So there's no racing at Turf Paradise today, as long as they comply with the regulations of both the state of Arizona and HISA for their safety, et cetera. So we'll wait and see how that develops there at Turf Paradise. And a quick note, in case you're looking ahead to Turkey Day, we'll have a Thanksgiving Day program, no doubt about it, because there is racing around the country on Thanksgiving Day, but there will not be racing at Del Mar on Thanksgiving Day. First time in a long time I can remember since they had the meet in the fall that they will not have racing on Thanksgiving Day at Del Mar. So those people in Southern California can make sure they get home in time to get that turkey leg, okay? All righty, so that's about all the news, except for the fact that coming up this weekend, as far as the races, the stakes races are concerned, Aqueduct will have 3 stakes races, 1 Grade 3 and 1 Grade 2 among those 3. Churchill Downs will kick in with a couple of stakes races, 1 Grade 3 there. Laurel Park will host 3 stakes races on Saturday. Del Mar will have 1. Woodbine will have 3 stakes races on Saturday, 1 Grade 2 and 2 Grade 3s. And Pleasanton will also check in with a stake race on Saturday. As far as Sunday is concerned, Aqueduct will have 2 stakes races, 1 Grade 3, and Del Mar will have a stakes race as well. I think Del Mar, now we're getting in, this is the Bing Crosby meet, the one that they named after Bing Crosby. So there's going to be a lot of stakes races named after old movie stars, etc. And I think one of them comes up this weekend. We'll check and see the name, of course, by Sunday. All right. That's a little bit of what's happening across the country. As far as here in Las Vegas, weather here in Las Vegas is 46 degrees right now outside. It's a little brisk out there, and we've got a little bit of wind that's kicking up as well. So it's a little brisk out there right now. It's chilly in the morning. You can see I'm wearing my sweatshirt. 46 degrees right now. We're going to get up to 61 today here in Las Vegas. And if you're planning on coming out to visit Las Vegas for the weekend for maybe some entertainment or playing, etc., as far as the week is concerned here, these will be the temperatures. It'll be between the low 40s and mid 40s in the morning and in the low 60s to the higher 60s in the afternoons. And right now it's sunny and beautiful out, but there's a little bit of wind out there, and we're going to have a little bit of wind that makes that wind chill even colder when you're walking through the parking lot. Anyhow, temperatures around the country today: Miami 85, New York City 80 degrees it'll be in New York City today. Wow. About 19 degrees warmer than Las Vegas. Man. Okay. Chicago, 55. Phoenix, Arizona is a nice, pleasant 71. They're going to get a nice, pleasant 71 there. And in Southern California, 76 degrees in Los Angeles. And again, today we'll get up to about 61 degrees with a little wind out there, making it a little bit chillier, at least if you're outside, than the temperature might be. As far as weather is concerned, we got a lot of snow going on in Colorado. That's good for us here in Las Vegas because we need the water to get into the Colorado River. It starts in Colorado, makes its way to Lake Mead. So there's a lot of snow going on in Colorado. You got a front of rain that's going from Tennessee through Kentucky, Ohio, parts of Pennsylvania, and eastern New York on its way up to Canada. So as far as that'll be the racing conditions across the country today. So we'll wait and see how the racing conditions might be in Churchill Downs with some of that rain going through Kentucky today. All righty, we're going to go to our first break, and when we come back, we'll give you a racing menu, and then we'll bring in Jonathan Hardoon, of course, Rich Eng, and Jonathan will have not only their thoughts about looking back at the Breeders' Cup, but also a pick or two today from Churchill Downs. And then, of course, we got John Lendo checking in from Southern California, checking out what's going on down there. And Jerry Jackowitz with a thought or two of how he, might have approached the Breeders' Cup with the betting angle of it. All that coming up, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
All right, back on Race Day Las Vegas for this Wednesday as we crank it up for another week of racing, Las Vegas style, of course. On Sunday, yes, there was racing after the Breeders' Cup. On Sunday at Belmont at Aqueduct on closing day, Christophe Clement got a couple of winners on the card. He won the second race, the Turnback Alarm Stakes, with Evidencias. Joel Rosario aboard paying $6.60 there, outrunning Movie Max and Signal from Noise, who finished third in the race. Then Clement came back right in the third race with a winner under Flavian Pratt, paying $3.80. Katie Davis had a couple of wins back-to-back as well. Fourth race winner paid $29.40, and winning the fifth race, she came back and paid $10.60, so she had back-to-back wins like Clement earlier in the day. As far as the other stakes races, the Pumpkin Pie Stakes won by Nick's Style. Junior Alvarado for Bill Mott, paying $3 even as the favorite there. Dazzling Move was second, and Zadorsky was third. And in the eighth race, the Discovery Stakes, you remember that Jerry Jackowitz gave us a play in that race. Jerry J's horse, Generous Tipper with Kendrick Carmouche for Kenny McPeak, won. So he got a winner there, and that winner paid $20.60 to win the Discovery Stakes. His link-ups ran second and third. Tuscan Sky was second. Copper Tax was third. Dollar Exacta there paid $48.50. The 50-cent trifecta, if you keyed his horse with the link-ups underneath, that trifecta for 50 cents came back $147.50. So way to go, Jerry, there at Belmont Aqueduct on closing day there. At Del Mar on Sunday, yes, and there was racing after the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar. A nice quiet day out there on Sunday. Frankie Dettori, I should say, was bookended the cards with a win in the first and last races. Dettori wins the first with I'm About to Go for Wesley Ward at $5 even. Then came back in the ninth and final race with Satellite Heart for George Papadromo, paying $4.80. And Papadromo was getting his second win of the day as well. He had a training, his first training winner came in the fifth race at Del Mar with Russell's Hustle, Mike Smith aboard at $8.60. And Antonio Fresu had a couple of winners, winning the fourth at $8 even for Doug O'Neill, and the seventh race for Peter Urton, paying $27.20. And Tiago Piera had a couple of winners. He won the sixth race, $4.20 for Steve Knapp, and then the eighth race for Rafael de Leon, paying $17 even. So Frankie Dettori, Antonio Fresu, and Tiago Pereira all had a couple of wins on Sunday. That was Sunday, and now we go to today. We'll get the racing menu for you today. This is, of course, the racing menu of racetracks available today in the Racebook simulcast centers and racetracks around the country. Reminding you, as we always do, the first post times we broadcast on the show each and every day reflect that of the Pacific time zone. If you're here in Las Vegas playing maybe right here behind us at the South Point Racebook, these will be our first post times. If you're playing anywhere around the world and all the other different time zones that we have, adjust whatever time zone you're in to the Pacific time zone, and hopefully by now, here in America, you set back your clocks from Sunday. Otherwise, do that too. But in any case, first post times are Pacific. We begin with Parks Racing. Parks Racing has a Pick 5 jackpot carryover today of $110,392. That's their Pick 5 jackpot at Parks Racing. First post time, 9:05. Then we go to Finger Lakes. Finger Lakes is next. Finger Lakes has a first post time of 9:15. Following that, we'll go to Mahoning Valley. Mahoning Valley Racecourse has a Pick 6 jackpot carryover, $6,651. Their first post time is at 9:45. Following that, Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky kicks off with their first post time today at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. first post time at Churchill Downs. They have a regular Super High 5 carryover today at Churchill Downs of $9,438. That's at Churchill Downs today, first post time 10 a.m. Horseshoe Indianapolis is next. Horseshoe Indianapolis gets underway at 11:10. 11:10 first post time at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Following that comes Turf Paradise has been canceled, so we'll take that out of there. Turf Paradise will resume hopefully on Veterans Day. After that, we have Delta Downs. Delta Downs has a first post time of 2:50. Following that comes Penn National. Penn National's first post time with a Super High 5 jackpot carryover of $3,751 is set at 3:15. And we wrap it up with Charlestown. Charlestown, first post time with a Pick 6 jackpot carryover of $3,862 is set at 4 p.m. today. 4 p.m. at Charlestown. And that is the racing menu of racetracks available today as we kick off racing around the country. Taking a look at some of the odds and ends from the Breeders' Cup. The final NTRA Thoroughbred poll is out. The final NTRA Thoroughbred poll is out. And at the top is Torpedo Anna. She got 295 votes after 7 starts this year with 6 wins and a second. Sierra Leone, who won the Breeders' Cup Classic, finished second with 262 votes. Fierceness, who finished second in the Breeders' Cup Classic, was third in the pool with 233 votes. And then other winners, as far as the Breeders' Cup, Rebels Romance was finished, was fourth in the poll. Idiomatic, who didn't obviously run in the Breeders' Cup, was retired, but she had enough of a resume to finish fifth. Forever Young, who was finished in the Breeders' Cup Classic, is sixth. Straight No Chaser, a Breeders' Cup winner, seventh. Mora, a Breeders' Cup winner, was eighth. Cogburn, who didn't win the Breeders' Cup but had enough of a resume, finished ninth. And National Treasure rounded out the top 10 in the final NTRA Thoroughbred poll. And as far as buyer figures, all right, the highest buyer figures over the weekend were mostly Breeders' Cup races. Stardust, who won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, got 102 buyer. Moira, who won the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf, got 100 buyer. Full Serrano, who won the Breeders' Cup Dirt, got 104. More Than Looks, a Breeders' Cup Mile winner, got 105. The Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, Straight No Chaser, got a 103 buyer. Torpedo Anna, winning the Breeders' Cup Distaff, she got 100 buyer. And then you've got Rebels Romance, who won the Breeders' Cup Turf, got 106. And the top buyer figure of the weekend was Sierra Leone, winning the Breeders' Cup Classic, got a 112 buyer figure. Aidan O'Brien was the only trainer to record 2 victories in the 41st championship. Came with On Friday, in the Future Stars with Lake Victoria in the juvenile fillies, and Henry Massey, I should say, an Irish bred in the Breeders' Cup juvenile turf. The 2 victories boosted O'Brien's World Championship total to 20. That ties D. Wayne Lucas for the most training titles wins in all-time Breeders' Cup. So Aidan O'Brien and D. Wayne Lucas now tied at 20. Flavien Prat won the Bell Shoemaker Award. He guided 2 Breeders' Cup victories, won the 22nd Bell Shoemaker Award for an outstanding jockey in the Breeders' Cup. Pratt is a first-time winner of that award. The Shoemaker Award goes to the jockey who rides the most winners in the 14 races. And, of course, Pratt and Ryan Moore each won 2 races, but thanks to a runner-up effort with Raging Sea in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, that was the tiebreaker that gave it to Pratt. Other quick odds and ends of the Breeders' Cup. In the trainer Sherry DeVoe earned her first Breeders' Cup victory with more than looks in the mile. That win marked her the ninth time that a female trainer has won a Breeders' Cup race. And jockey Rosa Ryan. 6 trainers achieved initial Breeders' Cup champions as well. Rosa Ryan's first Breeders' Cup win came with the Stardust, that big winner in the turf sprint. And then the other winners, the 6 trainers notching their first Breeders' Cup victories include Kenny McPeak with Torpedo Anna, Gur Lyons with Magnum Force, Safi Joseph Jr. with Soul of an Angel, Kevin Attard with Moira, Dan Blacker with Straight No Chaser, Sherry DeVoe with More Than Looks. 5 favorites won over the weekend. 5 favorites from the 14 championship races. The winning favorites were Immersive in the juvenile fillies, Lake Victoria in the juvenile fillies turf, Henrik Matisse winning the juvenile, and Torpedo Anna winning the distaff, Rebels Romance winning the turf. The highest priced winner of the day came with Stardust, paying $69.20 in the turf sprint. Torpedo Anna was the lowest priced winner, paying $2.80 in the distaff. And as far as European runners, there were 14 World Championship races, and out of the European runners, they won 5 of the 14 Breeders' Cup races, all turf races. Those winners were Magnum Force in the Breeders' Cup turf sprint, Lake Victoria in the juvenile turf filly turf, Henry Matisse again in the juvenile turf, Stardust in the Breeders' Cup turf sprint, and Rebels Romance winning the Breeders' Cup turf. And Kentucky and California-based runners accounted for 3 victories each. Kentucky-based winners, Immersive, Torpedo Anna, and More Than Looks. And the California-based winners were Full Serrano in the mile, of course, the dirt mile, the last race, Straight No Chaser, and Citizen Bull, who won the juvenile. Canada was represented by Mora, who won the filly and mare turf. Florida-based horse, Soul of an Angel, won the filly and mare sprint. And a New York-based horse, Sierra Leone, won the Breeders' Cup Classic. So some of the odds and ends that happened in the Breeders' Cup. Now let's bring in Mr. Jonathan Hardoon. Jonathan, good morning.
Good morning, Ralph. You missed the biggest, a big story from over the weekend in the Breeders' Cup,
Yes.
which you didn't talk about, but
Well,
I'm sure we'll talk.
I saved it for you.
Thank you, Ralph. I really appreciate it.
Yes, and what might that be?
Poor Drayden Van Dyke. He got fined $15,000 and suspended 3 days for an extra whip or 2 on Soul of an Angel, who without that extra whip or 2 would have never won the race.
Right, exactly.
The horse was 9th, lagging behind, had no interest in the race. Obviously, he had to get the horse into the race. Heiseth should be ashamed of himself. There's so many things wrong with this game, and this is what they're concentrating on, counting whips. Really? It's a joke, Ralph. Not only that, HISA, Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Board or whatever it is, they're worried about integrity. Why don't they go watch the CAW, what's going on? You think that looks good for integrity? When a horse goes from 19-1 to 12-1 on a Breeders' Cup day, do you know how much money that took to do? Nobody says a word. It's a joke. HISA should pack it up and close shop.
Well, at least they have suspended all of the suspensions they have now. They've lifted those suspensions because they're getting criticism. And, they said they're going to have to revamp some of the regulations and take a look at that, which is finally coming, and I like that. And by the way, folks, I didn't know, but that was his soapbox segment.
Ralph, come on. I mean, now that they're suspending all the penalties they gave out, you think they would have thought about it before giving out penalties and ruining people's life?
Well,
it's a joke.
Two things I'm absolutely for sure. And by the way, we did mention the Drayden Van Dyke thing on Sunday's show, but I'm glad you revamped it today for looking back and reviewing the Breeders' Cup. But I think two things. One, I'm pretty sure that the owner will probably pay for Drayden Van Dyke's fine.
That's not the point.
And I got to tell you right now, if Drayden Van Dyke's got to pay it himself, I'm sure he'll do it too, because that meant a lot for his career, winning that race there. That's for sure. And you're right, it shouldn't happen.
No, I mean, it's ridiculous, but it is what it is, and somebody's got to do something. This nonsense has to stop.
Well, I don't think. Well, you never know. With the we got a new regime coming in Washington. That might be one of the departments they look at and say you're gone, and disband the department entirely. But until that happens, I think that Heise. I think the intentions were always good for Heise. I'm not going to criticize them for that. The intentions were good. I think that maybe a more of an knowledge and education of the particular circumstances that they have laid down suspensions for, if they had more knowledge and education about that, might think twice about some of the things they did. And secondly, maybe they should have, when they make that, especially with the trainers that they've fined for a long time that had to disband their barns and all that, maybe it would be that it would be like almost like a court of law, where now they filed suit of having a suspension, and then they can go to a committee or a board to take a look at that, of more knowledgeable people, to really say, was this a violation? Did this hurt the safety of racing? And is the penalty, the type of penalty, the depth of the penalty, due to the particular violation they had?
They're giving out penalties before the guy's even guilty. I mean, before they get the test back and everything else. How could you give out penalty? I mean, to me, it looks like people have really a terrific lawsuit against these people. I'm not a guy that likes to go around suing people, but I mean, if it was ever a case of it, this is it.
Well, anyhow, we'll wait and see the ramifications of Heise and its future. That's for sure. And of course, they stopped Turf Paradise, and the state of Arizona stopped Turf Paradise from actually opening on Breeders' Cup weekend, which would have been a big weekend for that track in Arizona, because they failed to comply with some of the regulations and safety provisions that they put in place for them to reopen the track. So, the blame might go two ways. I mean, if the track knew they had to do that, then they should have gotten it done. But in any case, hopefully that'll be resolved shortly, and they'll be back in business on Veterans Day. But taking a look over the 2 days of Breeders' Cup, what really stood out to you is, because we all know they were championship horses, and all of them had a resume and definitely a case to win the races. But what most impressed you?
The bounce back of Sierra Leone, Ralph. People totally gave up on that horse. I mean, after the three horrible performances at Saratoga, for him to bounce back like this, I mean, it was a terrific training job, a terrific ride. And the race really set up well for the horse. They were flying early, and he had the fractions he needed. Take nothing away from Fierceness, because he ran great in defeat. He finished second. He had every right to back up and finish up the track. But he fought most of the way. To me, the Classic actually lived up to the Classic. It was a great race.
Now, again, there was a lot of trials and tribulations for this horse between his awesome win at Keeneland in the Breeders' Futurity, the Bluegrass, I should say, in the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland, to set him up for the Kentucky Derby. We know what happened in the Derby, the banging and all that. I mean, he lugged in, and he really did impede Forever Young, but it was the 3-horse photos finish there, with the Mystic Dan getting the best from the rail. And then a couple of disappointments after that. And, like you said, when we were doing the coverage, the handicapping of the Breeders' Cup Classic, maybe he just didn't like Saratoga, but there was there was one thing after another between the Bluegrass and the Breeders' Cup Classic that led to the bad races in between. But with those two races, and certainly the Breeders' Cup Classic, and by the way, the highest buyer figure on the 2 days as well, so it was legit. Between his two fabulous performances in the Bluegrass and the Classic, or versus an overall body of work from Torpedo Anna that also won a Breeders' Cup race in her own division. Now, there's going to be a lot of thought of who's going to get Horse of the Year Eclipse Award.
Well, it's going to be Torpedo Anna only because Fierceness and Sierra Leone took chances beating each other. So that takes away from either one of them. Where Torpedo Anna, she just had a consistent body of work, like you said. Even when she lost in the Travis, she lost by a neck. Her total body of work is heads and shoulders, I think, above the rest of them.
Couple of quick other performances that I think you ought to take a look at as far as really saying, man, this was a hell of an effort, was Immersive winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Brad Cox filly. She really had a solid race there. And Citizen Bull, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, although as we looked back and took a look at the race afterwards, with him going to the lead and East Avenue having a bad start, and then the two other Baffert-trained horses, along with Citizen Bull, right behind, kind of running interference for him. Maybe that wasn't as an impressive win as it looked, in person, or certainly watching it. But I guess he's now the Kentucky Derby Future Book favorite.
Yeah, but, everybody saw what happened, Ralph. The entire complexion of the race stopped after East Avenue went down at the start. The whole race became a different race. Baffert found himself on the lead with his other two horses riding shotgun for him, so no one was going to go up and challenge. Let's be honest, and let's call a spade a spade. Mm-hmm. The fact that East Avenue went down totally changed the race. If he doesn't go down, who knows who wins, but there certainly was a good chance it would have been a different outcome.
And, of course, it was nice to see the Canadian Horse of the Year, Moira. I think it was her third opportunity in a Breeders' Cup race to finally get it in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf. And I guess the two biggest disappointments of the day was Cogburn and the City of Troy.
Well, Cogburn had to overcome that crazy stat of Kentucky Downs shippers after their last race at Kentucky Downs, especially shipping to Southern California and running in the Breeders' Cup. They're 0 for a lot, and now they're 0 for a lot more. And if there was ever a shot to break that schneid, it would have happened with Cogburn, who really, off the figures anyway, looked like he laid over the field. As of City of Troy, that was a complete guess. People guessed. They respected Aidan O'Brien's opinion. They respected the horse's record. He was 6 for 7 coming in, but they forgot to take into the factor that he's never run on dirt. So, willing to make a horse like that a short price and playing and betting on him, you certainly have better options than making bets like that. And I'm not red boarding. We said it before the race, Ralph.
Hey, I know you did. In any case, you were pretty adamant about that. As a matter of fact, the seminar, you said something like, if City of Troy wins, you're giving up racing or whatever. I don't know what the hell you were saying, but it was pretty drastic. All right, in any case, yes, Virginia, there is racing after the Breeders' Cup. And today there's racing at Churchill Downs. And I know, Jonathan, you have a sheet there, so we need a winner. Of course, with all the winning money we had on Breeders' Cup Day, we want to parlay. We want to get some more winners.
It would be nice. Let's look at the opener today at Churchill, the first race. It's 1 1/16 on the main track. And I like the number 1 horse in here, I'm Your Man. This is a 3-year-old gelding who makes his second start for the Paul McGee barn. He was gelded prior to his last race. He had trouble in that race. He breaks from the rail today, 7-2 on the morning line. Number 1, I'm Your Man, wins today's opener out of Churchill Downs.
All right, I'm Your Man. Number one in the first race. Easy to remember at Churchill Downs with that post time of 10 a.m. So you got I'm Your Man, the 1 horse in the first race at Churchill, 7-2 odds on the morning line, and you got a full sheet for Churchill today, don't you?
JONHJRDOON.com.
You got it, Jonathan. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Ralph. Stay safe and be well.
You got it, my man. We certainly hope to do so. And in the meantime, we'll take a first break. We'll take another break, I should say. And we'll be back with Rich Chang, so don't go away.
Tunnel to Towers helps so many people. As a player of the Mets, I feel like for me, I have a responsibility to give back, especially to a cause that's authentically New York. And I just want to show appreciation for those brave men and women who really do a massive service, not just in New York, but everywhere. Hey, I'm Pete Alonso. Let's go Mets, and let's help the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Go to t2t.org for more information about how your donation can make a difference.
Thank you, buddy.
There are many families that need your help. I'm Mark Wahlberg, and I'm asking you to support the Tunnel to Towers Foundation in their efforts to deliver mortgage-free homes to catastrophically injured service members, Gold Star, and fallen first responders families with young children, as well as eradicating homelessness amongst our veterans. Everybody knows where the money's going, every single dollar. God bless you. Please contribute $11 a month to support their efforts by visiting t2t.org.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world.
Back on Race Day Las Vegas for this Wednesday. They're active on the chat room today at the Race Day Las Vegas chat on YouTube. And if you want to join along, just go to YouTube, hit in South Point Studios, get to the page, click the Race Day Las Vegas link there, and then you get on the page where you can see and hear us and get into the chat room. Subscribe, please. If you haven't done it, it's free of charge. Just click the subscribe and subscribe to it today, and you'll be jumping in the chat room. Joseph wanted to said on the chat room, his group had a great time in the South Point Ballroom on the big party on Saturday. He said they all made money, and two of them received dinner for two at the steakhouse as part of all of those prize giveaways they were giving away on Saturday. We all had a good time there, and thanks a lot, Joseph, for coming out. All right, let's go to Rich Eng standing by. Richie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Ralphie. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, listeners.
Well, reviewing and now a couple of days removed from the Breeders' Cup. Any thoughts of the Breeders' Cup that came to mind for you that were unique?
Well, you and Jonathan did a very thorough recap. I guess the one thing I'll add, Ralph, is that in my emphasis over the weekend, I was really banking on the Japanese having a nice weekend. I betted accordingly and handicapped accordingly, and obviously they did not have a big weekend, so I didn't do that well. But to me, that only means that next year when they have the Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita, I'm going to come right back with the Japanese. I think they'll come back bigger and stronger and faster than ever. So that's my word to the wise. Don't give up on the Japanese just yet.
I think that the Breeders' Cup actually might be going right back to Del Mar next year. We'll have to check. I'll check.
Oh, you're right, Ralph.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, it's going to go right back to Del Mar, but it'll be in Southern California again, that's for sure. So
yeah,
we'll be okay there. Any thoughts of anything that happened over the weekend in NFL that surprised you?
Well, I would like to actually deflect just a little bit to college football, Ralph, because over the weekend they announced the first rankings of the teams for the bowl playoff. Yeah, and the number one team is Oregon. I can read them off real quick. Ohio State, Georgia, Miami is fourth, Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, Notre Dame is 10th, Alabama, and the final team to make the cut at this point is Boise State.
Uh-huh.
So those are the 12 teams that would make up the playoffs.
Hey,
I would like to make it. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say, I was going to make an editorial comment about the only undefeated team that did not make the top 12 is Army. The Army Black Knights, Ralph, are 8-0. They have 4 games left on the schedule. 3 of them are going to be heavy favorites.
Uh-huh.
But the one game that's going to decide their season, they play Notre Dame. I believe they play in Philadelphia, but they're going to play Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to be like a 3-touchdown favorite. But if somehow Army could win that game, they would be 12-0 and probably elbow their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, and elbow Notre Dame out of it if they beat them.
True.
All right, let's get started. We need a horse pick for today, my man.
All right, let's go to Churchill Downs. We have a second horse on the card in Louisville. Race number 8, Ralph, at Churchill Downs is 7.5 furlongs on the main track. Let's go with a horse with a little meat on the bone, the number 4, Lugan Knight. Michael McCarthy with Jaime Torres riding. This horse should be able to stalk and close, cutting back a distance a little bit. For 12-1, Lugan Knight in race 8.
Oh yeah, nice price there in the 8th race at Churchill Downs. Number 4, Lugan Knight. Lugan Knight at 12-1 on the morning line, and we will definitely take a shot at that one today. You got a full sheet today, or just a pick there?
No sheet, sheet, no Southern California, no simulcast sheet.
Okay,
we'll get it going again on Friday.
All right, you got it. Thanks a lot, Richie. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and of course, we've got a Thursday night football game tomorrow as well.
Hey, thanks. Good luck, everybody.
All right, going to wrap it up with John and Jerry. John Lindo's up next. Don't go away.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grandview Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby.
The field for the biggest Derby of the season at Los Alamitos is set for Sunday, November 10th, the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Super Derby. The field is led by top qualifier BP Cartel Policy, as he looks for his 3rd graded Derby of the year. Plus champion filly Dark Enemy. She's going after her 4th Grade 1 win. Plus the undefeated Stanley Cartel, the outstanding Boardwalk, and the Grade 1 winner Let's Leave. It's a field of super sophomores. The Los Alamitos Super Derby, Sunday, November 10th.
The Race Day Las Vegas Show, the only exclusive daily local media racing information source in Las Vegas.
All right, back on Race Day Las Vegas for this Wednesday. Now let's go out to John Lindo standing by. John, good morning.
Good morning, Ralph. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, my man. It was so nice to have you and Jonathan in studio all last week for the Breeders' Cup. And as I asked him, I will ask you the same thing after a couple of days of kind of reviewing what happened in the Breeders' Cup. Anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, Eclipse Award champion should be decided, on a level playing field. And I thought the track superintendent at Del Mar got that track right. No bias on the main track, no bias on the turf course. Nobody can blame the surfaces for their defeats. For the most part, the best horses won. Obviously, there's some bad trips, but they got the right surfaces to conduct the championships.
And, of course, now, the debate will go on as far as the Eclipse Award with, Sierra Leone having the highest buyer figure of the day and certainly a huge win in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Yet the full body of work for Torpedo Anna sure demands that she might be Horse of the Year, too.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting discussion. You got to remember, Torpedo Anna did beat Sierra Leone in the Travers, so she's got that on her resume too. And one championship that was decided, I think, Ralph, was the Eclipse Award jockey too. Flavien Prat, based on his work this year, and capped off an unbelievable year by winning 2 races on the Breeders' Cup weekend. So I hope he gets his very first Eclipse Award. I will be very disappointed if he doesn't.
Well, I can tell you this, John, I'm very fortunate and still having the ability and certainly the invitation to vote on the Eclipse Awards each year, and I will be voting for Flavien Prat without a shadow of a doubt. I agree with you wholeheartedly there.
I like it.
Now, of course, we resume racing in Southern California, Del Mar, and, racing does resume there. No Thanksgiving Day racing, though. That kind of took back when I heard that.
First time I can remember, there's always been a Thanksgiving card, whether it was Hollywood Park in the fall or Del Mar when they took over these dates, but this is the first one. So we'll basically be on 3-day weeks, Friday through Sunday, through the end of the meet, the first weekend in December.
Because Thanksgiving Day is usually a big day out at some racetracks. I know Churchill Downs, it's a huge day there. And I thought that maybe Del Mar would continue that tradition, but that's okay. This way, everybody will be in time to get that turkey leg and watch some football on TV. We resume racing at Del Mar on Friday, right?
We start again up on Friday. And Ralph, one other thing I want to mention too, there was a couple of big horse sales going on in Kentucky, and a number of those fillies and mares that raced in the Breeders' Cup over the weekend did sell on Monday. And Moira, who won the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf, she brought $4.3 million.
Yeah.
Warlike Goddess, who was beaten in that race, brought $1.8 million. Remember, we had a regulatory vet scratch of Ramatuel in the miles. She ended up bringing $5.1 million.
Wow. And
the filly that did not run in the Breeders' Cup, but we know from Chad Brown, McCulloch, she was the highest price. She brought $6 million. So, the people that had Moira had a pretty good week.
Yes, they sure did, and these are all famous famous fillies with great resumes. They're going to be good mamas because they're going to go to be broodmares. That's for sure. Hey, John, thanks a lot, and it was just so much fun having you here. And thanks for that nice winner in the last of the 14 Breeders' Cup races in the Breeders' Cup Mile at a $20 mutual. That was great. That's for sure. Oh, $28 actually, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
All right, we'll start fresh on Friday.
You got it, my man. All right, let's go to Jerry Jack, who's standing by. Jerry, good morning.
Good morning, Ralph.
Any afterthoughts of anything in the Breeders' Cup that struck you?
Well, I thought it should go without it shouldn't go without mention that Rebel Romance, the race, Rebel Romance ran to win.
Breeders' Cup
Classic
turf. Breeders' Cup turf, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Turf Classic was just an outstanding race. I mean, that trip that Rebel Romance had, a lot of people refer to it as a perfect trip because it's, on the outside and it looks kind of visually attractive, but it's actually a terrible trip. And the horse that wins with that kind of trip is always well superior. And you have to recognize that they're using the early speed to get position, but they lose ground on both turns. So they're really, the position that seems so visually attractive is really a negative. They have to expend a lot of energy to stay with the pace horse. And they have to run as much energy as the pace horse is running on his inside, but they don't get the benefit of saving that ground. So they're using a lot of energy early, and they're using it now on 2 turns to hold that position. And to finish that well, that's a really fantastic horse. And I thought that was great. And you can almost use that to understand Fierceness, just a race later, who ran that same kind of a race with crazier fractions. I mean, we can talk about that a little bit. And, of course, came up a little short, but was valiant in getting beat by Sierra Leone. So, Fierceness really acquitted himself very well. You don't go 44 to the half and finish a 1.25 mile race.
No, that was quick. Yeah, that was quick. And he was, that was like suicidal quick. And he was right on that number too. As far as the Philly, I'm sorry, as far as the Colt that won the turf, Rebels Romance, got the second highest buyer figure of Breeders' Cup in a 106 buyer there. Got a Brisnet number of 109.
Who did Buyer give the highest number to?
Sierra Leone, 112.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Yeah. But of course, Sierra Leone benefited by with just the breakneck fractions. But he still had to run the number. He still had to take it on the outside. He had to give a little bit of ground. So props to Sierra Leone. While in my mind, maybe he was slightly the second best or approximately equal to Fierceness. Fierceness gets a little bit more of a check mark in my mind, but they're very close. And you basically gave it away on we gave it away on the show when you talked to what's his face to Andy, and he had been betting Sierra Leone, but now he was off of him. So
that's Jeff. Jeff, we're gonna razz Jeff a little bit on Saturday when we hand it off to him on the Saturday show. That's for sure.
Talk about getting off the train before you hit the stop.
I would think though that maybe throughout the day, listening to other people like Chris Andrews, Vinny Miliulo, and Doug Colucci, who all picked Sierra Leone, that maybe they might have changed in mind and say, go ahead and bet him one more time. He might have, in the end, at the window, bet the horse. Let's hope he did in any case.
Well, I hope he did. I hope for his sake he did.
Yeah. It was a great Breeders' Cup overall, though.
It was. With me, I gave a lot of thought as to whether or not to put him in my play, and in the end I didn't. Yeah. So that was... But it was a very tight play, and I didn't have a lot of room to move. So.
Fully understand, Jerry, and we're out of time as usual, so you have one more thing to say, and go ahead and say it, Jerry.
Have a great race day, everybody.